Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm your host, Raylene Marks, bringing you the top stories from Israel and surrounds every Monday to Thursday right here on this platform. And if you don't want it on this platform, no worries, we don't take it personally, but we do have you covered on YouTube, and you can look for us at the Israel Brief, and all you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button. So let's take a look at those top stories before we head into the weekend. And of course, the big news this week has been the results of the US elections and the subsequent start of the handing over of power. However, President Trump still has 70 days left in office. And what does this, or what could this mean for Israel and the Middle East? Well, one thing that is expected, and we are expecting US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in the country shortly, is that there will possibly be a further push to curtail Iran's nuclear ambitions and to further isolate them and prevent them from becoming the regional threat that they are. And also, while this is going on, to try and push for some of the countries that have expressed a willingness to normalize with Israel to normalize before President Trump leaves office. But it's not just Israel who is concerned, it's also the Saudis. And the Saudi king has expressed his concerns about what to expect or not to expect with a Biden administration. And he reiterated the fact that Iran poses a huge threat, not just to Israel, but to the Saudis and to the region as a whole. And he reiterated his support for a Palestinian state. And I know there's been a lot of conjecture, a lot of discussion about what a Biden administration could mean. It's no secret that at the end of the Obama administration, Israel was slapped on the wrist, and some measures that were taken that were seen as extremely unfriendly or harsh towards Israel. So at the moment, a lot of uncertainty, but also a lot of cautious optimism as we move forward, because the region has changed, the landscape has changed, and we hope that moving forward, all of this will be taken into account. If you want to read more, there's an excellent op-ed from the Times of Israel editor-in-chief David Horowitz, who expresses his opinions on this in an article called First Do No Harm, and it's a really, really great analysis of the situation moving forward in the Middle East. But what we really hope will start moving forward, in fact, we really hope it will start moving away, is the COVID-19 virus. And Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke recently to the CEO of Pfizer. Pfizer, of course, making that very, very welcome announcement that their vaccine is 90% successful. And of course, everybody's going to be clamoring up to get their hands on this vaccine for their countries, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is no different, and he reassures the Israeli people that we are just days away from a final deal with Pfizer. However, we've also heard from Russia, Russian scientists saying they are 92% successful with their possible vaccine, and other pharmaceutical giant Moderna saying that they are also just days away from making an announcement. Whatever the announcements are, whoever has it, all we hope is that the vaccine, whoever it may come from, will be successful, and we can start seeing an end to the pandemic, which has really brought the world to its knees. And many countries, including many of you who are watching now, going into your second lockdown, and we just send our love, our solidarity to all of you. Israel at the moment is slowly exiting from our second lockdown, and discussions are underway about possibly lifting the restrictions on the opening of shopping malls and gyms, however, putting a nighttime curfew in place. And a lot of concern that infections are rising within the Israeli Arab communities. Those are up by at least 40%, and a lot of discussion around what to do. Maybe these will be red zones, maybe there will be further lockdown, but all of this under discussion as we speak. And our last story takes us to the Sudan. Well, actually takes us to the UN before we go to the Sudan. And our ambassador to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan, met his Sudanese counterpart this week. A very, very welcome meeting, given that ties between the two countries are normalizing. And this is ahead of the Israeli delegation that will depart on Sunday for the Sudan, and we have it on good confirmation that there will be cooperation in the fields of water and agricultural technology. We think that the founding fathers of the State of Israel will be very pleased to see Israel normalizing relations with African countries and helping their people. So those are the top stories making headlines. We are headed into the weekend here in Israel. And if you're looking for something to read, look no further than our website. You can find us on www.layoftheland.online. And we know that, like a good chicken soup, Jewish humor gets us through many challenges, and Dave Kaplan has an excellent article up on that. And if you miss it on our website, you can catch it on our Facebook page. While you are there, please give us a like or a follow and share our content. And don't forget to drop in tomorrow. We have a Shabbat Shalom greeting from somewhere in the country where, I'm not going to tell you, you see for yourself. Leave us a message, and you can find us at Lottel's site. You can also find us on Twitter, where we are very, very vocal, at Lay of the Land with the digit 5. And we know, if you haven't already, you will be subscribing to our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief by clicking on the big red subscribe button. So from all of us at Lay of the Land and the Israel Brief, we wish you a peaceful and a restful weekend. May it be safe and healthy. And please know that you are never alone, as long as we are here to chat to you and bring you the news from Israel. And I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief. Shabbat Shalom. We'll chat again on Monday.